What's up, guys? I hope you are having an amazing weekend with all of your friends and family, wherever you are. Saturday morning, I hope you don't have a huge hangover. First, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Pepe Cuenca, and I am a Spanish Grandmaster. I'm again here with all of you guys to analyze the game of the day of the second round of the US Championships that, as you guys know, is taking place right now with a lot of big fish. Nakamura, Fabiano Caruana, Wesley So, Kamsky, etc., etc. And as you guys suggested yesterday, I won't give you the result until it is shown in the game. So yeah, I think it's just time to start focusing on analyzing the game. So the game that I'm gonna commentate is Ray Robson versus Onischuk. So Ray decided to go for knight f3, knight f6, d4, e6 and bishop f4. Wow, the London system. It's becoming kind of trendy. Even Magnus Carlsen tried this in the Rapid and Blitz World Championship in Berlin in 2015. So it's a very interesting line. And after d5, white normally tries to develop something like this. He wants to go e3, c3, knight bd2, giving some fresh air to this bishop on f4, playing h3, just you are able to bring him back to h2. Then the bishop normally comes to d3, and normally you want to jump with your knight to e5, right? And then trying to create some kind of attack maybe with f4, something like this. And it's pretty positional line. And yeah, so in the game, Ray Robson decided to go for e3, c5, pretty natural move, expanding your pawns on the queen side. And now c3, yeah, reinforcing your center with c3 and e3 pawns, yeah. Knight c6, knight bd2, and bishop d6. This is a really interesting way of playing against the London system. Of course, as I told you guys, the most important square is the e5 square. So you just fight for it from the beginning. And now several options, yeah. You don't want to take on d6 because it's like you are losing the fight for the e5 square. Let's say, for example, after bishop d3, castles, e5, then black is perfectly fine. So after d takes, knight takes, queen takes, you can see that the position is more than fine for black. And that's why you don't want to play bishop d6. You could think as well of installing a beautiful corcel already on e5, but the problem is after queen to c7, now you have to defend this guy here with knight f3, and as I told you guys, normally you want to go bishop g3 and f4 in many lines, and this way you are not going to be able to play f4 pretty easily, yeah? That's why bishop d3 is normally played. Yeah, now in the future you will like to install this knight on e5 and then play f4 later, yeah? Yeah. Taking on g3 could be a little bit dangerous for black if he wants to castle short side, because after h takes g3 and bishop d3, this pawn on h7 could be really weak, and there are some ideas related with g4 and g5, yeah, right? So that's why normally in this position just castles is played. In the game, Onischuk played queen e7, but I would like you to draw your attention for another interesting possibility that actually took place in the game of Karjakin versus Mickey Adams in the Total Steel tournament in this year, in 2016. So he went for castles here. So just you guys know how to play against the London. After castles, bishop d3, b6, knight e5 was played in this game, and now bishop b7. And as I told you guys, f4 is pretty natural move in order to reinforce the center and then to prepare some kind of attack on the king side. And now an amazing maneuver that actually impressed me so much in the game between Mickey Adams and Karjakin, that actually I was lucky to be able to play just 2-3 weeks ago in the Swedish league against Agres with the black pieces. So the maneuver is knight e7. And of course what you want to do is you want to install a knight on e4, right? Now in that game, Karjakin played queen f3, precisely avoiding this knight coming to e4, yeah? And now knight f5 was played, bishop f2, and then when I was watching this game, I was saying, okay, what's going to happen here? Now I'm just gonna go g4 and then g5, this knight has to go back to e7. So what's the idea of this knight f5, yeah? Because h5, of course, this looks pretty artificial, yeah? It doesn't, yeah, it's not the right move, yeah? So the idea is to go bishop e7, going back with this bishop, giving this square for this knight, and then later you will be able to start and knight on e4. So let's say after g4, knight d6, g5, then finally you can install a knight here. Just and now this bishop is not so strong anymore, and now h7 is not so weak anymore. And in this game, actually, Karjakin played long castles, and then after c4 and at some point on b5, b4, actually Mickey Adams crashed Karjakin. So that's one thing I would like you to keep in mind, this maneuver with knight e7, knight f5, bishop e7, knight d6 and knight e4, yeah? But okay, let's just focus on the game. In the game, queen e7 was played. The idea is pretty simple. You want to go e5 in one go. But of course, white didn't allow this, so he played knight to e5. There's another way of avoiding e5, just playing bishop b5, for example. But knight e5 is pretty natural move. You prepare for f4, reinforcing this guy here. And then in this position, just Onischuk played a really rare move. Hasn't been playing so much. It's bishop takes e5, yeah? Normally, you don't want to do this. Normally, maybe something like knight to d7, putting some more pressure on the e5 knight. But okay, of course, not a mistake or anything like this, just 2 games. For example, Grandmaster Gegwatze played this bishop takes e5 in one game. And after d takes, knight takes d7, of course, now you have to do something about this e5 pawn, yeah? There are, let's say, 3 options here, yeah? The most natural move for me is just f4, just defending this guy here. The other possible move is just queen h5, and the move that Ray Robson played in the game is bishop b5. Of course, this defends indirectly the e5 pawn, yeah? So, for example, you don't want to take now e5, yeah? This is boom, just winning the game on the spot because this knight is pinned. So the problem of bishop b5 is actually after a6, you are forced to give up your bishop pair, yeah? So, of course, doesn't make sense now to go back because you just lose the pawn on e5. And bishop a4, just b5, followed by knight takes e5. It's just a pawn down, yeah? So you are forced to take on c6, b takes c6, and now really, I really like the maneuver, the continuation that follows in the game, the maneuver that Ray Robson tried in this position. He went for queen a4, yeah? And now you're forced to defend this guy, of course. You don't want to lose material, yeah? So Onischuk played bishop b7, and now one idea I want to comment here. So basically, black will never castle on the. It's not ideal to castle on long side, yeah, because the structure is pretty ruined, and you don't want to castle there, yeah. So black will love to castle king side, yeah. So that's why this maneuver that Ray Robson played I really like, yeah. He played bishop f4. And now actually he's forcing black to push some pawns, yeah, because you don't want to go queen f8. This is a terrible move now. You cannot even castle later, and then yeah, there's nothing to do here with black, yeah. So that's why you are forced to play either g5 or f6. g5 actually you just go back, and then the king will never feel so comfortable there in the king side, yeah, after short castles anymore, because you play g5 and then your king could be weak. And then there are some ideas related with h4, opening the position because the black king is on the center, yeah. So in the game, f6 was played. This is another possibility, of course, but as I told you guys, now it's not so safe anymore to castle in short side, yeah. After g takes f6, another move that I really like from Ray Robson, he went for c4, yeah. This is a prophylactic move because maybe black wants to go c4 and then activate his knight via c5 and d3, or c4 followed by c5, trying to open this diagonal for this bishop at some point. So that's why c4, I really like this move, fixing the structure, and yeah, this bishop looks a little bit sad there of b7, yeah. So rook g8, now that the king is not gonna feel so comfortable anymore there, so he decided to try to create some counterplay attacking the g2 pawn. Now decision is not so easy to make, to take. It's just short castles here. Can look like a little bit scary, but actually this bishop can come to g3, and then this knight can come to f3, and h4 is necessary. So let's say h5 was played in the game. Let's say that black tries queen g7 to give you checkmate in one go. Don't allow this. Just play bishop g3, and after h5 you can play also queen b3, asking this guy what he wants to do. Rook a7 is a bit sad. Bishop c8 is really sad. So let's say long castle. Now this guy here is a little monster. But now black is threatening h4. But there is a beautiful move. Knight f3 actually controls all the time this h4 square. You can even jump there when some e5 is played, and then the f5 square will be really weak, and the king is pretty safe there on g1. There are some ideas with rook c1 trying to open the position as well, because this king is also very weak. But still, this is pretty double-edged, yeah? So in the game, h5 was played, and now queen to d1. I just want to take this guy. So black did something about it. Actually, long castle was really interesting. Taking on h5 could look like really dangerous, but maybe rook c1, try to open some lines, could be interesting. Queen h7 was possible as well, but rook g4, yeah, this is some move that I don't like so much, because after bishop g3, actually you have to do something about h3. h3 is coming, then the rook has to go back, and maybe queen takes h5, yeah? So that's why Onischuk, in a prophylactic way, he played queen h7, defending this guy, preventing all these h3 ideas. And now rook c1 was played, yeah? Pretty natural move. Maybe the king is gonna come to c8, so that's why the rook is properly placed in this c file. And now a5 was played. Maybe the bishop wants to be activated in this diagonal, because in this diagonal, just to call it for some reason diagonal, I mean, it hasn't got any proper future, yeah? So after a5, another natural move from Ray Robson, rook e1. Maybe he wants to go e4 in some lines. Now bishop a6 was played, and I think this is a mistake, and you will see why. Because now white is gonna be able to open the position, the king is gonna be extremely weak in the center. He took on d5, and after c takes d5, the move e4. Wow, this is really good move. Now you see the importance of this bishop on b7. It was controlling this breaks with e4. Now after d takes e4, you can play even h3 and then forcing this rook back, and after that you can take on e4 and then jump to d6 or take on c5. Yeah, the position is so ruined for black, yeah? That's why when you have a really weak king in the center, what you want to do is you want to close the center. You don't want to open lines, yeah? That's why black played d4 here, trying to keep some tension in the center, just to close the center, and just trying to survive with that king, yeah? Other thing that needs to be said, that h4 is really difficult to play because this g4 rook is hanging. And now queen a4. Wow, really interesting move that it has two purposes, yeah? The first one is you want to take on c5 because this knight is pinned. And the second one, and this actually more scary one, is you want to go queen c6 and then just hitting this rook on a8 and hitting this pawn on e6. That's why black has to do something about it. What the engine was recommending was queen e7 or something like this, but after queen c6 you are forcing black to play this sad move rook a7. After that you can just play bishop d6, queen g7. You don't want to allow this guy taking on g2, just the simple and humble g3, and after that you will be able to take on c5. Yeah, white is completely winning in this position. Instead, after queen a4, bishop b7 was played, controlling the c6 square, and now after rook c5 there are some ideas with h4 that the queen is not in d1 anymore, and now there is a really strong move played by Ray Robson. He played queen b3, yeah, with a double attack on the bishop on b7 and the critical point, the critical pawn on e6, yeah? And now actually Onischuk just resigned, because you cannot do something. You cannot do anything, sorry. If you want to defend this guy on b7, actually you have to do it like something like rook a7. You can just take on e6, check, and then after queen a7 you can just play queen a5, h5 is hanging, you can play e5, open this fight for the rooks, and this is just a lost position for Alexander Onischuk. So I hope you enjoyed the game as much as I did while I was watching it yesterday. Just remember, you can follow all the games in Chess24. A lot of action going on. Few days Norway Chess, starting with commentary from Jan and Peter's Builder. Just remember the Giri promotion. Until Giri wins a game, you can become premium and take 3 months free. So yeah, this was all for today. I hope you are having an amazing weekend. As I told you guys, just have a lot of fun and see you in the next video. Bye bye.